be able to get into college if we don't pass the national tests. If I graduate from high school, I will try to get a job soon. If I had enough time, I would study and work part-time. If I had had enough time, I would have studied and worked part-time.
What do these sentences have in common? They are conditional sentences. We use conditional sentences to explain what actually happens. What could happen, a possible and likely outcome in the future. What we wish would happen, imagine a different outcome for a situation. What might have happened, a different outcome that happened in the past. There are 4 types of conditional sentences. Some are possible or likely, 0 and type 1. Others are unlikely, type 2, and others are impossible, type 3. Zero, first, second, and third conditionals. Review. 0 conditional.
If I apply for a scholarship, I have to get good grades.
First conditional.
If I have enough time, I will study and work part-time.
Second conditional.
If I had enough time, I would study and work part-time.
Third conditional.
If I had had enough time, I would have studied and worked part-time.
We use the 0 conditional when we want to talk about facts, or things that are generally true. It is formed by an if clause, in simple present, and a main clause in simple present.
If I study too much, I get tired.
We use the first conditional to talk about the result of an imagined future situation, when we believe the imagined situation is very possible. This condition refers either to present, or to future time. It is formed by an if clause, in simple present plus the word will, and the verb in future tense.
If I study, I will pass the admission test.
Let's see some examples of first conditional sentences in the negative form.
If I study, I will not fail the admission test. Long form. If I study, I won't fail the admission test. Short form. If I don't study, I'll fail the admission test.
Here we have an example of a first conditional with an infinitive. It is formed by an if clause, in simple present, and the verb, in the infinitive form.
If you work to pay for your university, you have to manage your time very well.
And now an example of a first conditional with a modal. It is formed by an if clause, in simple present, and the modal of your choice.
If he likes science, he should study something related.
We use the second conditional to talk about the possible result of an imagined situation in the present or future. We say what the conditions must be for the present or future situation to be different. This condition refers to the present, the tense is past, but we are talking about the present now. It is formed by an if clause, in simple past, plus the word would and the verb in its infinitive form.
If I studied, I would pass the admission test.
These are examples of second conditional sentences in the negative form.
If I studied, I would not fail the admission test. If I did not study, I would fail the admission test.
We can substitute could or might for would. Should, may, or must are sometimes possible too. We use the third conditional when we imagine a different past, where something did or did not happen, and we imagine a different result. This condition refers to the past. So we are talking about a situation that was not so in the past. It is formed by an if clause, in past perfect, and the word would, plus have and past participle.
If I had studied hard, I would have passed the admission test.
These are examples of third conditional sentences in the negative form.
If I had studied hard, I wouldn't have failed the admission test. Short form. If I had studied hard, I would not have failed the admission test. Long form.
Remember that we can change the clause's order by placing the main clause first and the if clause second.
I will pass the exam if I study. I would pass the exam if I studied. I would have passed the exam if I had studied.
This is the end of this video. But remember that you can review it as many times as you wish.